Let's create an impulsive 8 feet heart prop together because why the heck not? You're gonna grab the Home Depot foam boards and trace half the heart out. There's no right or wrong way to do it, just don't overthink it. Myself and my assistant Jojo are about 6 feet tall, so this heart will fit all of our clients. As you can see, I had her do a cute little pose so I could really visualize where to start and end my half heart shape. And would you look at that? My caffeine-shaken hand did a near-perfect line of you stay exactly this far away and don't come any closer. Next, you're going to use an exacto knife to cut out the shape. Jojo was yelling at me because I threw my back out last week, so she is doing the cutting today. Anyways, you're going to cut along the line you drew. It's not going to go all the way through, which is why we did those multiple cuts to help make it easier to get our frame. So while she is doing that, here is the fabric I chose. I believe the person said it was velveteen. I don't know, I wanted something that gave the same vibe as theater curtains. I also used T-pins to secure it on the foam, which you will see later. This was when we realized the cuts weren't going all the way through and decided to do even more cuts and as deep as we could. Plot twist, cutting foam makes my ears bleed and still couldn't get them all the way, but we were able to manhandle the foam to not damage the frame. Since I have you, if you're a photographer, I'd love for you to drop a camera emoji, so I know you were here. Let's talk things I'd do differently if I actually thought this build out a little more. First, I would get either a thicker foam board or double the quantity of the ones I got so I could attach them together and make thicker pieces. I'd also invest in a heat foam cutter thing. They're like $40 and bought from Amazon and will make life much easier. But since I did neither, I'm here and maybe in your excitement you are too. Keep in mind the weight of the fabric you choose. Mine is very heavy, and the foam board frame is going to need some creative structure built into it. I am going to see if I can get away with using C-stands I have in studio, but if it is still bowing at the thinnest part of the frame, then I'm going to use liquid nails and attach wood to the back. We've finally finished getting all the extra bits off the frame, and cue an adrenaline spike for me seeing that it's actually working. But the edges are looking rough. Luckily Jojo had an extra nail file on hand, and we figured it out together through sheer stubbornness to not fail. Sanding paper would work better. We did a rough sanding of the edges, and took the knife to take off any big chunks or to even out the heart shape. Safety first. Especially when working with this foam overhead, it sheds a lot, and this would suck to get into your eyeballs. Also, pro tip to clean as you go if you get overwhelmed like me. You'll thank me later. Grabbing the other foam board, we used the first frame as a stencil and repeated the process of what we did the first time around. It's not glamorous work, but it's honest work. And worth it in the end. And voila! It's really coming together, and my Pinterest board is here in real life. Who would have thought? Shameless plug, if you're a photographer and like this, then you'd love my membership where I show you my process from start to finish on monthly creative concepts. Just like this one. Taking a look at the frame, I decided we should tape the edges so that the foam didn't shed on the fabric and to give it a tiny bit more structure. Our second piece also suffered collateral damage, so we had to put extra tape in those spots. Now the fun part, putting the fabric on. Keep in mind, I have zero sewing experience. I don't know how to pleat, but I'm a scrappy bee and won't accept failure, so by golly, I'm gonna figure it the F out. After a few times starting over to get the shape I wanted, you can see I'm not doing straight across but following the curve of the frame and literally just folding the fabric over itself. Here it is in real time. I make the fold in the angle I want and make sure the width of the pleat is how I want it, and then I just stick a T-pin in the middle of that fold in case I needed to readjust anything before solidifying the design. Let's be bopping this time-lapse where we finished the one side of the heart and used all the fabric we had. Literally. I've never been so panicked as I was in this moment, but luckily I found more in this cute blue too. I did rough guessing and used about 8 yards for one side. This project can get pricey, again depending on what fabric you use, but it is worth it. Day 2, I used the T-pins to pin at the top of the prop to secure my first piece of fabric and started the whole process over again while a client was in hair and makeup. I folded the fabric like this so it was easier to handle while I was pleating. What I didn't anticipate was the brain fart I was going to experience trying to do that same process. But in the opposite direction. I started and stopped at least 4 times to reassure myself I was folding in the right way to complement the curve of the second half of the heart. Once I got my ish together, it was back to the races and pleated my freaking heart out in the hour time limit I had before I started my photo shoot. When I ran out of fabric, I would cut a new piece off the roll and begin the pattern again by folding it first. This helps create that seamless look you'll see at the end. Here is the during and after. Jojo came in the next day to trim and pin everything up for that final look. There may be a lot of excess fabric on the sides off of the foam. That's okay. I used a ton of what we cut off so it all worked out. What she's doing is taking that T-pin from the front and then pulling the fabric tight to pin at an angle in the back of the foam you don't want to go straight through because you will poke your clients or yourself. Here's a final look at the front, back, and then together. Let me know what you think in the comments.